All right, my friend. So talk to us about your coaching. So now you've had this tremendous transformation physically, mentally, you feel good, you're looking good, got the woman of your dreams to marry you. Where was that you quit the, finding jobs for geeks to becoming who you are now in the podcasting world and in coaching people?
The coaching really ramped up. I was doing what you would call kind of life coach stuff in 2019, but it was more like employment guidance because of my recruitment background. It wasn't any full transformational stuff. But in 2021, I watched a video on YouTube. And if you'd like to put this in the show notes for people to see it, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, Eric, of DNA alteringly good content. And it's footage of a guy, Steve Hardison, who's somewhat of an enigma, but he's known as the ultimate coach. And he's a 67-year-old Mormon guy out of Mesa, Arizona, who has coached people like Byron Katie and Yana Van Zandt, who was Oprah Winfrey's coach, and a huge plethora of billionaires and tech CEOs and just amazing sports people, Olympic athletes, and that kind of thing. Even Becky Robbins, Tony Robbins' ex-wife, is currently being coached by him now, right? And this video was all about our state of being. And I watched this video from a recommendation of someone that had been coached by Steve. And this guy doesn't muck around. He's 200,000 USD for 50 hours coaching with him, right? And
for 50 or 15?
50. Okay. Which is not the highest in the world, but it's like a good chunk of change for a life coach, right?
Absolutely.
And I watched this video, Eric, and I was so moved by it that I was like, I need to speak to this guy to see if what I'm witnessing here is the real deal. And I'm a very resourceful guy, and I got his cell phone number, and I called him up, and he picked up the phone, and I said, is this Steve Hardison? He said, yes, it is. I said, Steve, it's Laban here from Melbourne, Australia. And he goes, Laban, so great to hear from you. I've been waiting for this call all my life. And I'm like, who is this guy? What a way to answer the phone. And I go, Steve, I just watched this video of you with this guy, Deuce Latouille, who's a former NFL player and with the Phoenix NFL team. And I said, I just wanted to ask you one very specific question. And before I tell you what the question was, Steve, for years, had turned down public appearances, podcast interviews, newspaper articles. He turned down being on the Oprah Winfrey show 4 times. For what reason, I don't know. But he just chose to remain that way. And I said, Steve, what do you need help with? Because I knew this guy was incredibly successful. I knew that he had more money than God. I knew that he had an amazing 40-year marriage and a huge, big family. And he said to me, he goes, Laban, you know what? I really want to acknowledge you for asking me that question, but I'm 8% body fat, do 10 miles a day. I got everything a man could ever want, but I really want to thank you for asking me that question. I said, oh, no worries, Steve, you're welcome. I said, are you still not doing interviews and that kind of thing? He goes, that's right. And I said, no, it's no worries. I said, the reason I ask is I'm a speaker, I'm a coach. I've got this incredible podcast series called Become Your Own Superhero. And I'm well on my way to being known as the world's most positively influential speaker. But, someone I was talking to the other day, Steve, said that there's too much ego associated with that statement. And Steve, this devout Mormon, yells down the phone at me here. He goes, Laban, you tell that person to fuck off. You know who I am? And I go, oh, Steve, I'm getting evangelical at this point. He goes, I'm the best coach in the world. And the way he said it had zero ego about it. Nothing. And I was like, what was that? And we had a 13-minute conversation that day that changed my life forever. I hung up the phone and I rang a gentleman by the name of Chris Doris, who's been coached by Steve Hardison and features in the video that I referenced. He's known as the mental toughness coach, and he used to work with PGA golfers, NFL stars. Now he runs all of Salesforce and a number of other big blue chip companies, right? They're mental toughness training. And I said, Chris, I just spoke to Steve Hardison. He goes, what do you mean? And I go, I just had this incredible conversation with Steve. It completely changed my life. He goes, what do you mean? And I go, I was just on the phone to Steve Hardison. We just had this great chat. He goes, you just called up Steve Hardison out of the blue? And I go, yeah, what's the big deal? He goes, Do you have any idea of the gift of courage you have to bring to the world? And in that moment, Eric, the world's best courage coach was manifested.
Oof.
A statement not for ego, but a declaration to the universe about how I show up.